thank you for being here and showing up. So this is kind of a follow-up to our production change management class. So have you found the syllabus online?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have the syllabus?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you need it, you can. That's the link to it, but it's linked in our Teams page. So please check that out and go back to it frequently, because think of that as a single point of truth. You know, in business, now we have like so many different, there's so much information out there. Knowing what's the relevant information, you know, if it's schedules change or whatever, always go back to the syllabus. That's going to be our single point of truth. So this course is going to be a lot different from our change management class, in that we only have so much time. I know that you're all busy trying to balance, you know, your work, your school, and life. And today, everything's available online. We can use AI. So the most important skill, I think, right now is our thinking skills. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to focus on. And this is something, you know, I saw some ads like on social media about some AI tool that like, I went to bed last night, I woke up and my ads were created for me, they were posted on social media, my emails were answered. Well, I'm thinking, well, then what do? You know, you have just made yourself irrelevant. So we're going to focus on thinking, and that's why these classes are going to be focused like this. So, you know, I know you have busy lives, but if you can be here for the session, for this 1 hour, it's a 90-minute session, 15 minutes before, we can talk, we can do whatever, 15 minutes after, we have other stuff for 60 minutes. Let's just focus on this, okay? It's going to be, I think you're really going to get a lot out of that. So the point of this is that you're going to be creating a project plan that should be like a portfolio piece, okay? So yeah, so it's something that you could show, and for example, Brugesh, you might want to do something related to film. But it's going to be very flexible as to what you do, but we really want to make it very real. And there's only so much we can cover. So it's more that you understand how to deal with project management in a business setting than that you know every single framework and model and things like that. Does that make sense? You know, so that you know how to speak to potential employers. You know how to speak to potential clients. You know what to do if you're asked to manage a project. Now, you can always go back. You could look things up online. You can go to the Project Management Institute. But we're going to need to be familiar with some basic concepts. But mainly it's so that we know how to think in terms of project management. So practical knowledge. So these are 2 separate courses, but we're going to treat them like one. We kind of did that in change management as well. So each day after today, each class will be a module we're going to cover, and there's going to be 8 of these modules, 2 next week, 2 the week after. And each one will be on a specific part of project planning. Okay? Now, so each class is gonna combine, like there'll be a presentation part, and then we'll also have a discussion, and then like the exercise portion will be writing that you'll be doing. And that's gonna be in each session. So rather than having like and 90 minutes of lecture and 90 minutes of exercises. You're going to have 60 minutes of all three combined in a very intense and focused way.
Amazing.
I think so. I think it's going to work out really well and you're going to enjoy it. So, because of some things I learned last semester, for this class, 100% of your grade is going to come from the final exam. Okay? So, even if you can't make it to class, if you follow along with the lessons online, you do the reading, you read the study guide, you watch the videos that we're going to be watching in class, you could still pass the class. They're going to be essay questions, okay? No multiple choice. You're going to have to express your knowledge creatively, but you can do that whether you're here or not. I mean, I hope you'll be here, but, and like I say, it's definitely going to be a lot easier if you're here. Then there's the exercise portion of the class. So for that, you're going to be writing in a workbook, I'm thinking of it as a journal, so we'll talk about that. And then you're going to turn in your project, which will be like your portfolio piece, and your participation is going to definitely have an impact on your grade. And all told, there's 10 sessions of exercises. So after we do our 8 modules, that leaves 2 more sessions where they'll kind of be like independent study, where you'll be able to come in, we can talk about what you're doing, what you need work on. You could work on your journal, you could work on your project, you could prepare for the final. So that's how we're going to treat the extra 2 weeks that are assigned to exercises. So if you're not able to attend, then you are basically working towards pass or fail. There's no way for me to assess the finer quality of your knowledge if I'm only looking at the final deliverables. So if you aren't able to attend or aren't able to attend regularly, then the best that you can expect will be to pass. But what I want to say, and we're not opening the door, no. What I want to say is that it is possible to fail.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, sometimes people say failure is not an option. Failure is an option. You can't just turn in anything that actually has to meet the requirements. You have to pass the final. You have to do the workbook. It has to have all the components that are there. There was kind of a misimpression that I don't need to show up, I don't need to study, I don't need to do the work, but I can start contacting the professor when the semester's finished and explaining how desperately I need to pass, and I will be able to pass.
Yeah, that sounds great.
It sounds great?
Yeah, it's a good timeline.
But if you don't do the things, you won't pass. And it doesn't matter how desperate your situation is. I have to uphold academic standards. I can't award a passing grade based on desperation. So it's not difficult to pass, but it is possible to fail. So I just want to be really clear about that. So if you, like I was saying, if you want a higher grade than a 3.0, you just had to do everything I just talked about in the pass-fail, but you have to be here regularly. And when you're here, like you are now, I need you focused. So, if you're focused, if you're listening, and then you write, and the writing, you'll see, it's really actually, I think you're going to have fun with the writing part. You will do okay. You'll do more than okay. You'll do really well. So getting a 3.5 to a 5 is possible for everyone as long as you are participating. So I want to talk about what we're doing right now. This is our 60-minute focus. So during this time, there's no coming into the classroom. There's no answering phones. There's just notebooks, papers, us talking, listening, engaging with each other. So what that means is that all of your electronics need to be put away, like not even on vibrate mode. I mean, there's nothing worse than that phone, like vibrating on the table. Put it in airplane mode. I just turned my devices into do not disturb mode. Yeah, you know, Simon Sinek, I don't know if you're familiar with Simon Sinek. He's kind of like a marketing guru. Yeah, and he talks about how even if you just hold your phone in your hand when you're having a conversation with someone, you're saying that they aren't that important to you. So if nothing else, you make it easier for me to feel like you're engaged and you're listening. If just for that 1 hour, all electronics are way off, you don't look at them, and we just focus on what we're talking about. So you probably heard some people knocking, trying to get into the classroom. There's a sign on the door that says no admittance during these periods, and the sessions start precisely at 13:45 and 15:30. If you're late, you have to wait till a break. You might have a great excuse. If the tram broke down, that's a great excuse. If you're sick, that's a great excuse. There's a lot of great excuses for not being here on time, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that when we start, we're going to continue for that hour, rain or shine. And by the way, I will deliver the module to an empty classroom if I have to. If at 13,
Sorry to interrupt, but I will
please.
promise you that you will not have an empty classroom.
Thank you.
I will be
Bless you. That will make me feel very good. You help me help you by being engaged. I know a lot of professors make that difficult to do. So I'm going to do my best to give you a reason to be engaged, but if you engage me back, we'll build off of each other and we'll have a really good experience. So we're always going to have to protect this time. So what you're going to need. I'm going to get into this journal, but this is going to be a fun part of what we do. So this is a requirement. But to get an A5 size journal, they're not that expensive. You can get them in all sorts of different places, but make it smaller, like about 60 pages or so, like a little paper one.
I understood.
Yeah, because you'll turn them in. I mean, I'll give them back to you, but every session, after we've done the session during that last 15 minutes, we'll look through what you wrote and I'll sign my name and date it so that we'll have a track record. So when you turn in, I'll know that you did that while you were here in class, and I'll be able to give you extra points for your participation in class. There's links. You can get them at Flying Tiger Copenhagen. They sell like a 3-pack for, I think, like 12 zloty. You can get them on Amazon. They might even have them here. I don't know, down at the... Yeah. So I even suggest getting 2. One that you do your writing in, and the other one for notes, for ideas. Maybe you want to practice writing a few things before you write in your journal. And maybe even colored pens. Don't just have one pen that's going to then run out and you have to start asking people to borrow a pen. Have several pens. Get a little pack of colored pens, change colors. And we'll talk more about why this is so important. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on Adriana Girdler's YouTube playlist. I did a search, and her entire project planning playlist is like 140 some videos. Each one is like between 5 and 12 minutes long. She is a real professional project manager, guru and pro. And what better way to learn that she's talking on different topics, which I've organized so that in each session we'll play one of her videos, or maybe even a couple. We'll play it, we'll watch it, we'll discuss it, and then we'll reflect on it. And you'll write in your journals your reflections on whatever we discussed. And all this is free. There's a couple of free textbooks as well to give you more foundational information about project planning. But the thing is, I noticed that most books, textbooks on project management, kind of glance over project planning. It's a very specific thing. So what we're going to do is, anyway, so you can get more information in these textbooks, but we're primarily going to focus on the videos. And all of that is free. So your project plan, you want it to be reality-paced. You might think about a university project, a business initiative of some kind, some need in the community. Brugesh, I think there's plenty of things around the Indian-Polish film industry, and that something that you can plan around that I think you won't have any trouble. But it shouldn't be entirely fictional. Again, that's just going to help make it a better portfolio piece for you. You can use public sources. You can use your own observations. Public sources. You can do research on the internet. You could even make informed assumptions about the business, and you don't need any permission or to contact anyone. You can basically pick any type of company that you want. A pointer is to not make it too involved, but think of a project that maybe takes 3 to 6 months to complete. You want to make sure that it involves multiple stakeholders. So it can't be you setting up a business and all the things that you need to do. You want to think about different stakeholders and how to involve them. And it must have some sort of clear deliverables. When we're planning a project, we're planning it to accomplish something, so we need to know what we are going to accomplish. And furthermore, the plan must be actionable, right? So it needs to be something that people could actually do. So what does actionable mean? It means, like I say, that you actually can execute it. So you don't say like, communicate with stakeholders. You'll say like, send weekly email updates on the status of whatever. So there's going to be 7 components to your project plan. And each module will basically be tied to one of these sections. So if you're here, if you're participating, if you're having these conversations, if you're writing in your journal, you'll be able to go off and write 1 or 2 or 3 pages on that, no problem. And if you do that every week, at the end of the semester, it'll be really simple to put all that together. Before next session, I'd like you to schedule a meeting with me after you've thought about a case study that you want to use for your project plan. When you come in next week, you should already have a case study in mind, and we should have spoken. We should have spoken for 20 minutes via Teams. In our syllabus, there's office hours, a link. You schedule a time with me, and we will actually meet on Teams. You can select what's more convenient for you, audio or video. Either way, at that time, I'll go into chat, and I will call you by audio or give you a video call, and we'll spend up to 20 minutes. We it might take 5 or 10. But if anyone doesn't do that, they're going to have a much higher bar to establish credibility of what they wrote. Because then I don't know, is this all AI? What thought process? But if you tell me what company you picked, why you picked it, what you're hoping to accomplish, I'll be able to read that into your journal and your project plan. So I highly recommend that between now and next Wednesday, we talk about whatever you've picked. Your workbook. So again, something kind of like you see in the picture there. A little small A5, and I'm calling it like a learning journal. At the top of each page, you'll put the date, the module that we're working on, and we'll pause, and I'll put up on the screen something to reflect on. And you will write that reflection at the top, and then just write about it. It's structured in a way there's no right or wrong answers. I want to help you start thinking about the sorts of things that will help you develop that particular section of your project plan. So, some example prompts. What makes something a project rather than just regular work? You know, and we will have watched something, we will have discussed that, and you could think about that, you know, because that's going to help you answer the question, what is the project that we're doing? What is the scope? And things like that. If you understand that why this is a project and not just regular work. Or who's a stakeholder who could derail your project? What's your strategy? So things like that you're not directly answering things that are going to go in your project plan, but we're going to be thinking about the sorts of things that will help you answer your project plan. And then, like I mentioned, after our 60-minute focus session, if you want participation credit, you have to come up to me.
Okay.
This semester, I'm not taking attendance.
Yeah.
If you say, oh, I was there and I nodded at you, you nodded back, that doesn't count. I want to take, a minute, 2 minutes max. Just show me, when you come up to me, don't just say, look at what I did. Say, oh, here's what I got out of class. I've been thinking about this. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing, where you're at, and then I will make a note. I'll draw a little line and sign it or something. So when I come back and look, I know that this is what you wrote in class. And I'll probably take some notes of my own based on what you told me to kind of be assessing how engaged and how good your participation and engagement is. So I just want to emphasize, if you can't attend, the questions will be available, just like this video is going to be available online. You'll be able to see the exact same thing. You'll be able to see the slides. And you have to just take your cues from what's there. Unfortunately, this is not an independent class. I can't go over the assignment and what we covered in class with people who aren't here. So if you're not here, then take the information from what's available online and do the best that you can with it. And the final exam, it will be a very strict, no electronics, no notes. You'll leave your book bags, your computers, your phones, everything, your meta glasses, everything over on a table. You'll have your workbook, you'll have a pen, and that's it. The they're going to be essay-style questions. In fact, going back to pens, bring a couple of pens. If one runs out, have another one. And it's going to test your understanding, not memorization. If you've been here, if we've had these conversations, by the time it comes time to do this, it'll be very easy to write. So it's going to assess your understanding and your reasoning, your practical application of the key concepts, strategic decisions, and clear communication. So clear communication here means how clearly you communicate in your essay. Because if I can't understand what you wrote, then I can't assess that your understanding and your reasoning and all these other things. So it's not going to be about memorization, because that's not going to help you in the real world, right? It's going to be able, like I say, you can walk up to an employer and they ask you about project planning, and you can have an intelligent conversation. It's not about talking about Cotter's 8 steps or whatever. Word for word recall of frameworks in perfect detail. It's that you're comfortable with the whole world of project planning. So our learning roadmap is next week, right? Yep. We're going to start with project planning foundations. That's our first module, first part of the day. Second part of the day, scope and requirements. On December 3rd, we're going to cover stakeholder management, first session, and the second session will be work breakdown structures. December 10th, scheduling and timelines and risk management. December 17th, communication and teams and budget and integration. I've already said this before, but each session, there might be 5 to 12 minutes of videos. We'll discuss key concepts, and then you'll write reflective essays on whatever we discussed. I want you guys to have fun. If we could do nothing but just talk, and I'll give you all passing grades, I would do that. But I also have academic requirements that I have to make sure that we meet. But more than that, you're paying for an education, not just to have fun. Yeah. But as much as we can just have a good, enjoyable time thinking about things that are relevant to our lives and our futures, why not? You know, why make it boring and make you memorize things from a textbook?
Less productive.
Yeah, and you'll forget. I mean, who remembers all those things, you know? If you're in a business where you're doing Cotter's 8-step every single day, because that's your job, is to apply that to different situations within a big company, well, then you'll know it off the,
You don't need to remember everything.
Yeah, but you will remember it. Yeah. But if you don't use it every day, then you don't need to remember it.
Yeah, it will be like your muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly. If you need the muscle memory, you'll develop it. Yeah. If you don't need it, it's more important that you understand that there are concepts out there that one works better than another in different situations and things like that. So now, my favorite topic, AI. We talked about this in our contemporary trends class and elsewhere, but this is an exciting time. But you don't know what your future holds for you. You'll either be replaced by AI or you will be the master of it. So it's really important, like I said at the beginning, that you don't have AI that does your homework for you, replies to your emails, does everything, and because then you are irrelevant. So when you're doing your AI project, your project planning project, in business, a person would use AI extensively. But the end product, if it looks like it was written by AI, is not going to pass muster. But to the extent that it can help you create a project that you understand and can implement and represents your ideas, or represents at least you embody the ideas that are expressed in your project plan, that's okay. Yeah. That's a tool that's going to help you in your careers. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that's why we're doing the reflective writing. Yeah. And that's why I'm asking you to have these notebooks and pens, because I've become convinced that we need to start creating connections, neural connections between the information that we get from Google and AI and everything, and that it processes through this computer in our minds, and we create the neural connections, and it travels down our arm to our wrists to a pen, and we physically write on a piece of paper. I think that's a way to ensure that we are forming neural connections that are ours. Like, where does AI stop and where do I begin? Well, the journal is where you hopefully begin and end. I have a strategy where I think I mentioned to you this last semester, but I do everything in a text editor, just a raw text editor, not Word or anything like that. I use Obsidian. And in fact, my syllabus, all my learning resources, I just publish certain files I have in Obsidian, and boom, one click, and it goes out all perfectly formatted. Yeah. But I'm just working with plain text. And that's my process is, anything I create with AI, I copy from AI, I paste it into a text document, and I read it line by line. I rewrite things, I delete things, I change things. I don't just take the raw output from AI and say, oh, it gave me an answer, I'll send it off. And again, I put myself in the loop. So, but yeah, so what we're not going to do is what we talked about. So we're not going to copy and paste without understanding. That's exactly what this example that you just gave, right? That even had the, can I help you with anything else at the bottom prompt. So that was a clear copy paste. The other thing that really shows is a generic AI answer, where AI is pulling from, it's like the large learning models. It just read everything in the world. And it's giving it could give a very broad answer that it's very easy to tell that it's outside of the scope of what you're really asking to do. In fact, very often you can tell an AI-generated answer, it's much longer than it needs to be. And another thing that I call, well, it's not my own phrase, but a word salad. It just goes on, blah, 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 blah. But you're not really saying anything. So you need to, if you get something like that, you need to take it out. Take the little gems it gives you. Say, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a great idea. I'm going to work that in. Mm-hmm. But don't just leave these word salads, these things that really say nothing. And more importantly, don't leave anything in that you can't explain. Yeah. Don't leave in a word or a concept that you don't understand. Just say, oh, well, it must be right because it said it. If you wouldn't have said that, just take that word out. Take whatever it, make sure that you stand behind and understand every word. And you've read it once, twice, 5 times. Edit it, put it in your own words, own it. And as far as the workbooks go, if you're in class, obviously you're not going to be using AI. But if you're not in class, you still have to turn in a handwritten notebook. Yeah. So, and it has to just be your thoughts, just your own thoughts about the subject. So you could either think about something yourself and write it, or you can ask ChatGPT to pretend like it's thinking about this for you, display it on the screen, read it back, write down what it's writing, that's going to be more work. And it's going to leave telltale marks of that it's not yours. And you could have just expressed your own thoughts. So anyway, even if you're doing these notebooks at home, I hope you just reflect yourself and write your own answers, because I'm going to be looking for that.
Like going back to the roots with the modern touch.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. And going back to our roots, I actually picked up a notebook myself. I bought some fountain pens, and I have to relearn how to write. I've used keyboards for so long, but it's really a wonderful, frustrating, but also wonderful experience to actually be writing. And I stopped by a bar mleczny on my way home, and I sat down and started writing in my journal. It created connections that had been lost for me because I've been doing everything on a computer. I started out before we were using computers regularly. In school, even in college, they were just basically becoming a thing. So I went from doing things by hand to doing things on the computer, and now realizing it's gone too far because of AI, that we need to regain some territory that computers and machines can't take away from us. They can't take away our hand, our ink pen, writing on a piece of paper. So to succeed in this class, all you have to do is pick a case study that you're going to enjoy working on for 10 weeks. Come to class. Let's have fun, okay? I promise you, no boring lectures. It'll be something kind of like this. It's a lot more fun than just working on your own. But if you can't, it's okay. And use AI intelligently. Share your AI experiences with me if you like, with your colleagues. Let's learn how to harness it and stay ahead of the game, but still be intelligent people that you actually own your management degree, So keep up with the deadlines. Just write a page or 2 or 3 pages for each section every week. And then you have the 2 weeks to basically edit it, put it together, create a beautiful portfolio piece, and be totally ready for the final. And be thoughtful when you write. Again, the way that's phrased, the way the questions will be phrased, there won't be a wrong answer. But use that opportunity to think about whatever the topic is. Be sure to check in. I'm not taking attendance, so you have to make sure that I write down that you were here on that day in your notebook. Prepare for the exam, which is going to be closely follow each of these 8 modules. And enjoy. Let's have fun. I'm going to try and make this, like I say, as fun and as interesting, maybe unique for all of your other classes that you're taking this semester. But you'll get something out of it. We'll have fun, but we'll actually be doing something that's useful. And I think this is actually interesting stuff. I mean, it might seem boring, but we have to get out in the world. We have to start working for a living and managing change, which we covered last semester, right? The only constant in the universe is change. And being able to plan a project, being able to see a situation and know how to achieve results, these aren't boring things, or at least they shouldn't be boring. So this is one of the most practical skills. I would say between change management and project planning, whether you're looking to be a project manager, whether you are an entrepreneur and want to start your own business, whether you want to be a manager or at a C-level or some in a leadership role at a company. Again, these are fundamental things that go beyond being just strictly a project manager, and your job is to manage projects. Planning is always necessary. Like I said, it's designed to be fun. We're focusing on thinking over memorization, application over theory, and your judgment over right answers.
Yep.
So engage your brain, do the work, and you'll leave with skills that actually matter. So that's it. So I'll see you next Wednesday, but stick around and we'll talk about, if you want to kind of brainstorm a little bit about what you might do for your project plan, that's what we'll do for our next session.